Morning. Got a real good project for us here today. This is a Treadle sewing machine. This particular company made Treadle sewing machines between 1869 and they finally went out of business in about 1924. This particular machine, there's no way of knowing the exact date, but I'd say around 1910 or so. Treadle sewing machines, for one in good working order, in real good condition, at auction probably between $200 and $300. They're not real expensive because they essentially made millions of them. Tell you what, let's take this thing apart and see what we're going to have to do on it. Well, this is called the head. It's got a serial number here, and this is a Model H, so that might help me locate the paperwork. The mechanism is free. This is the thread winder. It's probably the bobbin winder. This right here I figured out is this is the advance for how fast you want the material to go through there. But I tell you what, I'm not going to do any mechanical work on this until I learn a little bit more about it. For example, I don't even know right now where the bobbin is located. You know, I understand bobbins are supposed to be down inside here, but I can't find any place for it. So set this aside until I learn a little bit more about it. Well, we're in luck here on this. That's the stand. This is cast iron. The treadle is cast iron. Well, the whole thing is cast iron. All the bolts are here. All the parts are here. Nothing's broken. And looks like I'm just going to be able to clean this up and paint it. One of the things I was worried about was the treadle. The treadle works perfect. So, looks like we're lucked out here. This is a cabinet. I can already see that one thing I'm going to need to replace is this top that folds out. I've kind of lucked out here because I can kind of see this area right in here was fairly protected, and I'm going to be able to see. I'm going to be able to match that finish. All the other finish is gone. I can also see that the main mechanism for letting the sewing machine head fall through is functional. But this part right here is going to have to be replaced. The drawers seem to be working. There's a few parts missing and but that's about it. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'll take this thing apart, take this cabinet apart, and we'll figure out which parts just need to be refinished and which parts need to be replaced. Let's try to get a handle on the woodworking that we need to do. First of all, this top here is going to have to be replaced. It'll be completely replaced. This is linoleum. The laminate came off the top, and they put linoleum on it, and it's deteriorated. I'll show you that in a minute. The stands here for the drawers, the the drawer cases. They just need to be taken off, taken apart, cleaned up, and re-glued. I think going to be able to save most of those. The drawers just need to be cleaned up, the joints re-glued and finished, except for one which needs to be rebuilt. Okay, that's the scope of the woodworking. Let me, of course, the whole thing will have to be finished. The first thing we're going to work on is the replacement top. Here I got the new top glued up. What I want to show you now is how they made the original top. I don't know if you, for those of you don't know it, back when this was made, they didn't even they hadn't invented plywood yet, so they kind of made their own. You can see this is several layers. The center layer is just some boards that are edged together, probably poplar. And then there's a laminate board about 1/8 of an inch thick here, and then there would have been another one on the other side. And then there's a veneer that's placed over that laminate. So in a sense, they're making their own plywood here. And then they attached these trim pieces all the way around. I'm going to make it out of solid wood, as I think it'll really look good, but you could make this out of cabinet grade plywood, and it might even be better because it'd be more stable. That's probably the reason they didn't make this out of solid wood, is because this is a top and they wanted it to be stable. And with all these layers, it's not going to warp and so forth. Here's a drawer I need to rebuild. It looks like at some point this the back broke out of this drawer. We can look at another example. This is how it's supposed to look. There's the joint. So this is a good one here. This one, the back fell out of it, and so this was probably done in the 1950s because this is plywood right here, and that's where I said that plywood hadn't been invented. It was probably invented by the Egyptians, but it didn't come into common use until the 1950s. So this is some, looks like 1/2 inch plywood, and then they got some solid wood in here, but unfortunately for their finish, this board right here is too long, which makes this entire back here about 1/4 of an inch wider than this side. So I need to take all this repair out, and I need to cut a new bottom. What you just saw me do was make the new bottom. This is the new back. These are the two parts I had to replace. I mean, I would have repaired them, but they were missing. I mean, half this bottom is missing here, and the back here is just a piece of plywood they stuck in the back here. So what I did is I just, using the other drawers as a model, I just reproduced what these parts are supposed to look like. This is the back. It's got a little got a little groove in the top here to receive the lid. You got to remember to put this lid or this bottom in before you put this back on, otherwise you can't get it on there. It's locked in a dado. So this piece has a rabbet all the way around, which leaves a lip all the way around that's just around 1/8 of an inch that slides into that groove. And it was also glued, by the way, so I intend to glue it back. So once I clean the glue residue and so forth out of this channel, I will simply, oh, and it also has this rabbet down the center. It has this rabbet down the center to go on the slider for the case there. So got that piece done. So I'll glue this box together, and we'll get back to the next thing is at the top that I glued up a while ago. A little change in plans here. I was going to get to work on that top, but then I noticed this box has a big chip of wood out of it here. And that not only is it missing, but it also forms a functional problem, because what happens is this thing runs in a track, and with this piece of wood missing, it doesn't stop, it goes all the way through. So anyway, I got to get in here with the chisel and chisel out this wood and replace it with some fresh wood, and then sand her down, and she should be okay. I got that hole, that notch cut out, and I was able to, some of the wood that I recovered from that destroyed box, I was able to recover some of that wood and put it back into this box. And I discovered that it's poplar. So the sides of this box, or at least the bottom, made out of poplar. So all I got to do is wait 100 years, and my repaired box will look just like the old one. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in here. I will see, I'm sticking that thing down there and I'm getting those gaps. That means I got gaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make me some thickened glue to eliminate those gaps. Well, I got that piece of wood glued in. I just added a little bit of sawdust, thicken that glue up just a tad, and fit right in there. So that's going to be a pretty good fix. And it's poplar. What I'm doing here is sanding this board up a little bit. You remember I had a warped board, and I pressed her flat, but to get the seams perfect, I'm going to hit it with the belt sander a little bit.